All right, so remind me again who's who. Scott and Ale, right? Ale?
Yeah.
Ale, yeah.
Gotcha. And what are your roles in the band? Who does what?
So, for the record, I'm Scott, because I think this is just a voice recording, right? You're going to be doing voice recording podcasts, or is this?
I'm doing video too, but if you don't want me to use the video,
no, video is cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Scott. Yeah, so I'm lead singer, and I play a little bass and also do guitar, and I'm also like songwriter. But we all do a little bit of that. But yeah, that's what I do.
And then I'm Ale. Alejandro is my real name. I go by Ale, and I'm the drummer of the band. So, and then we all like play a part in songwriting and stuff. But I'm usually just the drummer.
Gotcha.
And then Shreeve, who is hiding under the table, he's the guitar player.
Gotcha. Well, you said earlier, we were talking about this before we got on, about how Shreeve's the only one in the group who's a full-time musician, and you guys are both full-time students with the band on the side. So how does that dynamic work? Like, we kind of talked a little bit about it before, like I said, with you guys focusing on school, are you able to still commit as much time to the band as you would like, as opposed to Shreeve, who's doing this full-time?
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, I think like this year has been super interesting because, as I said, I go to school in Baltimore, so this year's been super interesting just because I've had the opportunity to be all online for school. So I decided to move in with Scott, and then Shreeve is right down the street, which is awesome. So we've like this year especially, we've had a lot of time to be able to not only focus on school like we have to every day, but like every night we're really able to focus on music, really create content, just like really get after what we really want to do. And like I think it's definitely been different this year because like throughout the school year I've usually been in Baltimore, but these two have been here, so it's like we're all pretty split up throughout the year for the most part. But it's been really nice like being back in Boston, being home with these guys, and being able to like obviously put a lot of effort into school, but like every single night, this is what we do, this is what we talk about, this is what we're putting a lot of time into, is just playing music, writing music, and recording our album that we're trying to finish up this year.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, like when something's a priority, right? Like you are gonna make sacrifices for it, whether or not it's healthy to, or whether you should be or not. So like, yes, we're full-time students. Are we putting 100% effort into school right now? Maybe not. But are we sleeping the 8 hours that we should be every night? Maybe not. But like that is all for a good purpose and a good reason. And that is, there are only a certain amount of hours in the day. And so when we have something that we believe in, that we're so passionate about, like this band and this project that we're working on right now, anything possible to make that happen will be done. And so like that's kind of our driving focus. And Shreeve, he teaches, he gigs, we got papers to do, we got exams to take, but like, so it's all the same, it's all things that will take you away for moments, but like that group chat is always flying. It's always red hot. Like it's constant every day. And that's exactly how we want it to be.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You kind of like the pace you're at right now.
I mean, I would be, if it was a perfect world, I would say, well, I mean, we're graduating in 2 weeks. So like, hit the button 2 weeks from now. This is my day all day long. So that's what I would love to be doing. And I think what we plan to be doing.
Right. Yeah,
not,
for
not,
sure.
Knock on wood, but yeah.
No promises. Exactly.
Right.
But yeah, Ali, you mentioned how you guys all are being back in Boston. So did you guys all meet in Boston?
Yeah, for the most part. So me and Scott, we'll probably dive into like the history of the band and stuff like that, but
sure.
We are all based in Boston. I'm from Brookline, Massachusetts, and then Scott's from Wellesley, and then we have Shreeve from North Attleboro.
From Northborough.
Hey,
you know, North Attleboro, shout out to you, but it's from
Sorry, man. Sorry, guys.
A little Boston twang fly in the mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all based in Boston, so like it's been nice to just because my family moved back up to Maine. Like they moved to Maine during the pandemic, so it's nice to be back in the city, be back home where like I've grown up my whole life, and be able to go to so many great restaurants, just be with these guys, play music, and just like have a great time in such a great city.
Because I met Ale at Loyola. I went to Loyola my first year of college, and I met him the first day at like some freshman seminar, and there was like some icebreaker event, and he was literally the first dude I walked up to just to be like, like, college is weird, but like, what's up? This is kind of weird. But we hit it off, and we actually were like pretty much best friends for like 6-7 months before he ever got behind a drum set. and we played together. So that I think definitely aids to like the culture of the band in terms of like we're just, you know, we're best friends. So like that being shared with music is great, you know. But like I think the foundation of being close friends is what allows for, you know, like honesty when it comes to like picking apart songwriting, or like telling people they got to get better at something, or like being accountable, you know, just like it makes everything feel more cohesive. And I then transferred to Boston my sophomore year, so fall of 2018. And then February of 2019, so like 6 months later, I actually met Shreeve at a Guitar Center, the one right by Fenway Park. I walked in, and he was an employee at the time that was promoting this new program for teaching lessons. And I heard him playing, and I was immediately like, what the hell is happening over here? So I just like walked right up to him, which is like, I am confrontational to an extent, but like no one loves confrontation. But I was so blown away with this dude's playing. I've like never met a player, seen a player this good in my life to this day. Like it's nuts.
Right.
And I was just started word vomiting on him, like, dude, we got all this music we want to write, and we want to play, and we got studio time, and they got a band, and I'd love to be in the band. And he was like, whoa, slow down.
Yeah.
Like, let's grab a guitar and like jam for a sec. And I was like, oh my God, now this is my audition for him to be in my band. So, but basically we played for 40 minutes, and like a crowd gathered. I got his number, and then like the rest is history. But yeah, just pretty funny how I met him completely random on a Guitar Center on like a rainy weekday.
It's funny. I know exactly what that Guitar Center is. Like I know exactly where that is. I can picture it. I used to work at House of Blues, and it's actually, I don't know if I should say this on my recording, but I can take it out. But I think it's supposed to be coming back now, like House of Blues and all that stuff.
Oh,
killer.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I'll probably be passing that Guitar Center very soon.
So were you working at House of Blues prior to COVID, and then COVID
I was.
that, or?
Yep, it was a month of glory.
Wow. Yeah. We played the Foundation Room once. That was actually our last show ever. Yeah, our last show before like that was literally March 6th.
Like 2 weeks before everything.
Yeah, it's crazy.
No, House of Blues is a dream. Yeah. Hook us up. No.
If I move up in the ranks, I'll definitely bring you guys with me. Don't worry, I got you. No promises though. Like your career after you graduate, I got no promises on that for you guys. But you know, we can make something work.
Let's go.
Yeah, it feels good already.
Don't tie me to anything. I just met you. But something I wanted to bring up was when I was trying to like find out about you guys and just do some research, I couldn't really find a whole lot. Like I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I felt like your guys' band, you kind of have like this lack of presence, or like this mysterious presence where you don't give out a lot, or you don't put out a lot. It's kind of something that I feel like some artists like The Weeknd or like Beyonce, who doesn't give a lot of interviews, does. Like, would you say that's something you were trying to accomplish, or is this all like new information to you guys?
I've never been asked that question before. I think, well, I think first it depends on like where you're looking, right? So like we've been recently trying to, make a pitch with like social media promotion and like content that was like TikTok has been a huge platform for us, and like Instagram we've been like regularly posting on. But in terms of like Facebook, I think it's a regional thing, it's an age thing, but I think like we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter page, we don't really use it as much as maybe like other groups do. And I think again that comes down to like the type of group, the type of music that they make, where they're based out of, how old they are. Definitely a confluence of factors. But I think we don't try to give off that vibe of being this sort of like mystique, like hard to reach type of band. Like we're just like a couple of guys. But I think also going back to the point that we're full-time students, I mean, like being as busy as we are, like we want to be engaging with our fans and our audience as much as possible, but sometimes just limitations because of scheduling prohibits that, right? Yeah. Or I think a big way that we as a band, specifically not like singer-songwriter but band, the way that we grow best and interact with fans is live performance, when we're on stage. And so I think the last year not having that has definitely made the stream, like the communication aspect, just the presence overall. I think for all groups, everyone's had to take a hit and change and maneuver this this pandemic in a way to like benefit them. And I think, we love to talk with people and like and engage with our fans, and like, because I mean, hey, like, you like our music, like that's like what a privilege for us, like that's such a blessing. So like, what, like we want to share that love with you and give you more. And so I think that is the plan, is to give people more, especially once we wrap up school. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff in the works right now in terms of content, like whether it be like, we were thinking about starting our own podcast series. We're talking about, we got a sustainable merchandise line that we've been working on. We're looking at making like some short indie film to couple the album, and like some sort of like visual story as well, like more abstraction to pair the album. Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff in the works. But I think also the fact that we're an independent band, like we're not signed, and labels are, and having like finance and money to back marketing campaigns, and pay for press coverage, and get playlisted, like that's definitely, I think, the best way that bands surface, right, and like really like put their foot in the door. But for us, being independent, like all that budgeting, all that content planning, like that's all done in-house by like us two right here, and our manager, and then Shreeve, who's under the table still. But I think the ultimate goal is to get signed, so that we can then have that backing and that support to do anything and everything that we want, which includes engaging more with fans.
And I think like a lot of the idea of like what we do for like building a presence and like how we focus on that, Scott touched upon it a lot, but like we've found like the different apps like TikTok and Instagram, but TikTok especially, like it's truly a fascinating way to have like thousands of people see you and see content that you're creating. And a lot of it's just by an algorithm. It's like, how is it going to get picked up? Like, how is this going to work? And a lot of it, like what we use a lot is like Spotify for artists. Most bands use it, but like we're always constantly checking like how many people are listening to us. Like, are we going down in listeners? Are we going up? And like, we use that to our advantage to like know when we got to be big on TikTok right now. We need to be pushing it at certain moments more than other moments, So I think like using apps, like we like starting over the summer, we started using TikTok a lot, and up until October, we had probably like 200 followers on TikTok, and now we have close to 14,000. So I mean, it's like it's grown a pretty good amount in the last like 6 months, basically, and I think like that alone, like that presence is bringing us new fans every single day, new fans to our Instagram, to all of our other channels, which is awesome.
And doing stuff like this, right? Like this is good. I mean, this is great. We love sitting down and talking with anybody that wants to talk with us. We love talking. So like, anytime you want to hang out again, let us know.
I was like, you guys like talking? Wow, I couldn't tell. No, that's great. Yeah, it's crazy, like all those algorithms too, and like social media presence and exposure and things like that. Like they really can go a long way. Especially like what you said for a band who's independent and you guys are trying to break into the bigger market of getting signed or finding a label or getting that recognition. Something else I want to talk about, we touched upon this a little bit too in the beginning, was the early stages of the band. Like I noticed something that was in your bio. You said that you guys have had like a different number of vocalists throughout your career. So what was that all about? Like, have you just had different people kind of come in before you've settled on the three of you?
Yeah. So, I started the band when I was 17, right? Like summer after I graduated high school, and, with a completely different lineup. And, as a result, over the years of college, and how turbulent that is, with people wanting to make different kinds of music, or people going to school across the country, or people not even really wanting to make music at all anymore. It's so volatile. And so because of that, we took the approach to have the identity of being more of like a collective, like a rotating door of musicians and vocalists. We've had different drummers, we've had different guitar players. But the centering point around all of it is that I've been writing the music since the beginning. So we've had that sort of grounding element, but, I think in the last 18 months, we've really consolidated. I think it's also a result of COVID and the ability for us to kind of just press the pause button. We consolidated the group in terms of the members, like in terms of what each of the members' vision and dreams are for the group, and how that's all aligned in terms of the type of music that we want to be making. And I think, now having the image, the sound, the band be us three, like that is the most like there's the most clarity right now than there's ever been. And like this feels like the group, and this has been for quite some time now. And so I think that's why we're moving with now. We've released a couple of EPs, we've been releasing singles, but now with this group and with this time we've had to write music and work with a producer that we're a huge fan of, good friend of ours. We're now like, hey, like let's graduate college, let's release our full first debut album, and like let's hit the ground running. Like, let's do this. So it's been a journey, but yeah, that's I guess medium length answer, where that kind of comes from.
Yeah, no, I get that, because I was wondering that too when looking you guys up, is that you've put out so much material, like songs, singles, a few other projects here and there, but you've yet to do this full album. And it sounds like, like you said, with the band kind of coming into more of a sturdy position and finding the direction y'all want, it sounds like now you're at the stage where you really are ready to put out that album, and you have been working on it, I assume, right? Like you mentioned that too, I think.
Yeah, we've been working on this album for the last like year now, basically ever since COVID started. I mean, all of our weeks really consisted of like going up to Maine to my house, like where we have a little studio up there, and that's where all the songwriting began. That's where a lot of like the recording really began, and a lot of these songs we've been sitting on them for around 6 to 8 months. But it's so nice to have the group consolidated to us three, because like we are usually like the three who are obviously in agreement. We have the same taste. We always think that something's good if the other guy thinks it's good, and it's just the process of making this type of music. We know it's going to be the best music we've ever made because of how we've consolidated the group and how aligned we are between the three.
And it's funny how you can like how DIY everything has become because of COVID. Like studio is very generous, right? Like we just bought a shit ton of recording like soundproofing foam, plastered it everywhere, and then we hang out in an 8x10 foot box, like, but it works, right? It's a little space, that's all we need. But yeah, this is definitely like, this album has been recorded in probably 8 different rooms, like 2 different locations in this room. This is my bedroom we're in right now. One in my closet, one right here up in Maine in Shreve's bedroom, like just all over the place. So, but I guess that's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely like interesting to put into like the credits when you think about it.
Yeah, right.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
Awesome. And how would you guys describe your sound? Like you kind of experiment with a bunch of different things, from what I've noticed.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely take an eclectic approach, for sure. I think, we always get asked this question, like, what type of music do you guys like to make? And, it has a really hard answer, but also a really easy answer, which is just like the music we want to make, So like, sometimes I'm in a headspace where I'm like bumping a lot of neo soul and like D'Angelo or like Mac Ayres or like, that kind of like R&B vibe, and then a neo soul indie fusion song will fly out of us, and there's Daydream, right? Like our single that we released back in January. Or I think another thing that kind of drives the way we make music is that all of our if you look at it as almost like a Venn diagram with 3 different circles, and like we definitely have a lot of overlap, but then we also have places where we kind of jet off and do our own thing, where like Ale is super into a little bit more of like the early 2000s rock, like some like harder stuff, even like punk too sometimes. And then like Shreve will then kind of divest, and he'll go into the more like blues, jazz, kind of like funk type of headspace. Whereas I'll kind of then go into a little bit more like folk headspace. But then we all meet in the middle most of the time. But that's great too, because then, there are songs that we have on this album that are like this kind of neo soul / like indie fusion, but also songs that are like indie folk, and other songs that are more like kind of indie pop, and like more. And so I think that is refreshing to us because it keeps everything feeling new all the time. I think it's refreshing for our listeners too, because it's like you can listen to our music at 1 a.m. under the covers with your earphones on, or in the car with your 4 friends on the way to the beach, or like walking down the road. I mean, I have a playlist specifically for walking music. So like, I mean, and so like, I just, as many ways that you can listen to the music is kind of how we try and write the music to be. Yeah.
And we all have I think pretty similar influences when it comes down to like our main influences, but like Scott said, I mean, I'm like super into more of the indie type music. So I love like Pine Grove, and I love like different bands like Far Caspian and Two Door Cinema Club and stuff like that. But we all like have a foundation of loving like Coldplay and John Mayer and different artists like that. So I think like we all bring our own influences to the table when we're talking about how to make the music, but it all works and coincides with each other once we make it happen.
I like that comparison, Scott. The Venn diagram. I think that works really well
Yeah,
describing
with
the three of you
good
guys.
visual. Yeah, cool.
He's a student.
Cool.
You can tell he's a student. Everybody. Putting it to work.
Here's my presentation.
Yeah. Did you do that over Zoom?
It has to count for something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, literally. And so something I noticed too, like, and we talked about this a little bit before we got on, was your latest single and video that you just put out for Out of Nowhere. And you filmed that in Boston, some places that I recognized, as I mentioned before as well. What were you trying to accomplish with that video, by the way, just visually? Because it has like a different setup. Like the first part is very much like kind of, I got like home movie type vibes, like early like 90s 2000s kind of video. And then the second half, y'all are playing on the roof of a parking garage, and it has like a very different style to it. So tell me about that video. What were you guys trying to accomplish?
I mean, well, so yeah, you're right. The first part is this, DIY kind of Super 8 type of like low budget feel, and it was a low budget video type of approach. And I think also with the approach of having it be a single take, single shot, like a one shot, the whole time, with it kind of following my journey through the streets of Boston, but like just through, you could make a metaphorical connection to like the relationship, because the song I wrote about like feeling isolated and alone while in a relationship, because you feel like your needs or like the energy that you expect and like isn't reciprocated on the same level, and like how hard that can be. And so that first half of the song, like where there are vocals, like I wanted to kind of have that be like a one-on-one type of approach, in terms of like, hey, like let me, like this is like a story, and this is something that can be like that resonates, or at least I think resonates with people, because at least it happened to me. So I mean, if I'm not alone, then I guess other people are a part of it too. But then the second half, right, is like this big sweeping Shreeve ripping stadium solo, and so we wanted to kind of, it doesn't feel like two different songs to us, but like in terms of the arrangement and where and sonically how it moves, I think having this, because the type of video changes too, it turns into this like more high end, high quality, 4K, I think actually might be 8K footage on top of this parking garage. It's like stunning, kind of breathtaking view with like this big city skyline behind us as a backdrop. And I think that was the purpose of that, was that part of the song is such a band moment, right? Like there are some like pad like vocal harmonies that come in towards the end of his solo, but like it's just the band playing, and like we wanted to highlight that. And I think so having that the first half align more with the story of the song, I think we tried to achieve with that more personal approach. But then once we bring in the full band for Shreeve solo, we wanted that to be big, in your face, bright, beautiful, clear, just like the band. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I just think like we were trying to like really have like a moment at the end of that video, like what Scott really hit on the point of like just the beginning part of the video, really having it be sort of like a DIY thing, like you're following the story of the song, and you're seeing like someone kind of instill what the lyrics are and stuff like that. But that moment at the end, like we always talked about, like probably a couple months ago, we were like, that ending, like we just need to explode. Just have the band go nuts, like at some location. We just need to get that filmed.
Yeah, because each song for us, like we chase these, like I said, we've said it a couple times, like the idea of like a moment, right? Like the moment where you're like, oh, yep, they sold me. That's right. Yeah. Or like the goosebump moment, right? Where you're like, whoa, chills. And I think, looking at each song that way is important. Looking at that type of moment approach for like a bulk of songs, like an album, you know, like that's something that we also are searching for. Like how on this album can we interject these moments where people will just be like, oh my God, I got to hear that 10 times right now. And so that's what we tried to accomplish with that ending solo part right there.
Awesome. Cool. That's a really cool answer. I love that. Speaking of someone that like you said one thing that like I always say when I hear music, I'm like, oh, chills. Like that gets give me chills.
Yeah.
Like I totally relate to that. What's the reception been like from your fans or people that have heard your music? Like, do you kind of get that from them, or have you gotten that from them before?
Yeah, you know, I think like yes, yes, we have, and that is probably the most rewarding part of making music, is having people tell you like, hey, like this part right here, like chills, man. I listen to that all the time. Like I just will rewind that 15 seconds over and over because I'm like, dude, but me too, you know, like we share that now, right? And that's so beautiful about making music with people that love your music. And that's why, again, it's such a privilege. It's like, we're not crazy, right? It's like you feel this too, right? And so that's that's such a beautiful part about making music. And so, you know, people do say that to us. You know, some songs of ours like would be best listened to in a group of friends in a car going somewhere that you're going to probably have a great time at, right? But other times I want to listen to it if I'm alone and I'm like, I want to be alone, and I'm in my bed, or it's late at night, or it's early in the morning, or so I think, you know, people saying that they have those moments and those chill moments exists, and it's cool to see the difference of like how people listen to those moments or those songs, and they feel different things depending on the person. Which is like really cool. Like a lot of your friends from college like really resonate with Regret.
That's one of our older songs.
Yeah, one of our older songs, not the emotion, not the feeling of regret, but like the song that we have called Regret. Yeah, that could have been weirdly interpreted. No, but and so like that, but that's hilarious. You know, like that's great. Whereas we have a lot of people that are like, hey, I love Please Stop Calling. Like that song I listen to when I need to be alone. And so like having that wide range is so cool. And that's why we love making music that is wide ranging in sound, is because then we get to connect with the most amount of people possible.
And that's what we're trying to do. I mean, I think a lot of the music that, like what we've talked about, like in this interview about like being eclectic and having a different sound, like I think that's like sort of like one of our main goals, is like we're just trying to create music that people like don't really expect, and people like are just excited about, sort of. And I think like when we talk about those moments where it gives you like the chills, like whenever we get that first mix from the producer, like if I get goosebumps, we're good.
Yeah.
If I don't, we need to go back. Like it just needs to be those little moments of like, how is this song gonna make you feel? And I think for everyone, what I like about our music is like you hear very different responses of what the song means to someone, like from your friends, from your family, to random people who message you on Instagram saying like, this song really means a lot to me for this reason. It's different for everyone. And I think that's the coolest part. Like everyone listens to our music differently. Everyone takes it in a lot differently for themselves, which I think is just really cool.
Trust the goosebumps. Trust the goosebumps
Exactly.
is the main message that we're getting from this.
Taste the goosebumps.
So where did you get the name Juniper from?
Yeah, so it's not a super interesting story, but I was just in the passenger seat
Should
of
we
a
skip
car.
it then? I'm totally kidding.
I was in the passenger seat of a car. We drove by a street sign that said Juniper Road, and I was like, that kind of sounds nice.
Okay, because that's also the image on your first project you ever put out. I noticed that.
Yeah, that's the infamous street sign.
That's the sign.
Awesome. Where's the street exactly?
In Wellesley.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
The town I grew up in, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, that's the whole story. Nothing.
Yeah, I could tell you its profound effect on our psyche and how we want to, you know, no, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the whole time we're talking about all this really cool and deep and meaningful stuff, and it's like comes to the band name, it's like, yeah. Street sign. Nothing more.
Sorry to disappoint everybody.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure they're not that. I'm sure we're not that disappointed. We're all right. We'll make it through. We'll make it through.
Yeah.
And something else I was curious about. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but on your Spotify, the majority of your monthly listeners are not from here. They're actually from London. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's kind of sick.
You know, I'd always love to go cross-pone, bro. No, well, so kind of all I was talking about in terms of like, so we can see that data too through Spotify for artists, and understand why. And so it's interesting, like how Boston is not our top place. Boston is not in our top 10, I think, cities that like I think it's like London, LA, Chicago, and like Dallas. I don't know. Cool. We'll come play for it. But we with the reason for London is that we just got on this playlist. We got our song "Concrete Ocean" put on a playlist that I think is based in London. Completely randomly. We didn't talk to anybody. They didn't talk to us. It just kind of happened. We woke up one morning and we're like, "Whoa, that song got 4,000 streams yesterday," and it had been getting like
maybe 100,
maybe 200 a day, right? I was like, "Whoa, that came out of nowhere." And so and that kind of goes to show like how random streaming is, and how like there's no equation for success. It's like that's just is so random, and now we have 4,000 people a month that listen to us in London, so It's like,
I mean, I think it's also just like whoever wants to listen. I mean, we're grateful for it, so like if it's London, that's the top city, like there we go. If it's Dallas, that's second. LA, Chicago, like there we go. I think it's going to be fun when we can start playing shows again, especially like if we can get some outdoor gigs this summer, because like we definitely want to. We know that we're like very involved in like the BU college campus and stuff like that. Like a lot of the schools around here, we know that we're like pretty known, especially we're on like a lot of their playlists, like the School of BU. Like we're on the music playlist for them. We're on the BC playlist. We're on the UMass Amherst playlist. Like we're known in Massachusetts a lot, but I think it's just been hard since we haven't been able to play shows to like really keep promoting that name. And like we said, we're a band. Like that's what we want to be doing. We want to be playing like 6 nights out of the week, like 5 nights. Like we just want to be playing all the time whenever we can. But it is interesting to see like other cities be like where our monthly listeners are, and I think it's going to be helpful later on, like when we want to like set up a little tour or stuff like that. Like we'll be able to know where we want to go and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. Start marking them now.
Yeah, exactly. Just gotta get after it. We gotta make the posters tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I'm in on that.
And if you guys want to go to London, I got connections, so let me know.
Hey, as long as I got a couch to sleep on, we're going.
Yeah, that's our attitude. As long as we can just either sleep in a car or sleep on a couch, like we'll go through it.
That's rock and roll.
All right, I'll hit up the list of cousins and see which one of them will let you guys stay. I think they'll be pretty okay with it. Don't mark my words, but we can make it work.
We're not crazy people, we promise.
Yeah, well, they're crazy, so they'll be fine with it. They're all backstory. I have family in the UK, not too far outside of London, actually. And so my family's all Italian, so they're technically all Italian. Like the people directly or like closely related to me, like through bloodline. So they all have like married and had kids, and their kids are like half Italian, half English and whatnot, like in my generation. But they're all Italian at heart, so
yeah,
they can have a good time, to say the least.
Yeah, I was about to say we have a few friends like that ourselves, so that resonates. Yeah.
Well, duh, you guys are in college. I would hope so.
Oh yeah.
It's like
no,
I
I
said,
just study.
Me being the washed up student, I remember those days.
Right.
Totally. Well, awesome, guys. This has been great. I just want to know some more details about the album, when you think you might have it out, and also let people know where they can find you and find your music and hit you guys up.
Yeah, so we have not locked down an official date for the album release, and we also don't really want to tell you that yet. But what we can tell you is that it is coming out in the summer.
Okay. Probably the
early parts of the summer. And it is going to be a full 11-song album. And we have one more single that we're releasing. So we've released 3 thus far, one more coming in mid-May. And then we're going to be releasing the full album after that, with all singles starting from Angelina are going to be on the album. And you can stream us on really any platform: Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, Google Play, SoundCloud, all the above. And maybe we can say the title of the album. Maybe not.
Yeah, we should say that.
Just whatever information you feel like sharing.
Yeah.
And then you can follow us. People can follow us on Instagram at Juniper the Band.
Yes, that's important.
TikTok, Juniper the Band. Facebook, Juniper the Band. Twitter, Juniper the Band. It's all the same. So
Juniper the Band.
we are very active on TikTok and Instagram, so that's where you'll see a lot of our content.
Not Juniper the street sign. Juniper the Band.
Is there another account for Juniper the street sign?
We found them quickly and we settled that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So case closed. There's no longer Juniper the street accounts. It's only Juniper the Band.
Juniper the Band.
That's all we can say legally.
Until the lawyer comes through, he's gonna bust in any minute now.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, David, this was so fun sitting down. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. It was really fun meeting you.